You think you're going to see a lot more violence, and the response is going to be, we got to crack down on crime. So the worse crime becomes, the harder they're going to crack down on us. They'll use it just as the UK, just as the United States used 9/11 to rape us of constitutional rights. The UK is using that over there. The example that happened in Rotterdam, whatever the place was, to crack down on civil liberties. So that's where we're going. It's only going to get much worse. And you were talking about John William Shadow's stats, the Great Depression. Look at housing. How many times did they say that the real estate market was turning around? It's worse. It's worse than it was during the Great Depression. And it's only going to get worse.
Well, Gerald, my next question is basically going back to Janet Napolitano. She's now criticizing the Drudge Report for carrying my articles and others that broke down the fraud of DHS, lying about the radiation levels, lying and saying we don't grab genitals, we don't go in the pants, we're not saving the images. All of that they've been caught lying about. All the crimes being committed by these people, because who else would want this horrible job? Who else would take a job standing, around all these microwave oven X-ray systems? Now we learn they have 8 times the national average at the Boston Logan, where they first put the scanners in 7 years ago. So right there, it's a crazy group of people. And she's out attacking the media for basically calling her a jackboot. I mean, this is incredible. She's telling us we're wrong about jackbootism when clearly that's what Homeland Security is trying to set up in this country. And my next issue for you is that I know that somebody near and dear to the Trends Research crew has been arrested for having her body painted, something very popular there in New York City. At the same time, we have just incredible crime exploding. I see reports of New York police ticketing pregnant women that sit on a park bench too long, or people who are caught smoking cigarettes on the street. I mean, the harassment is really kicking into high gear.
Exactly. This is what happens when societies break down. Look how the people hated the cops in Egypt. You keep breaking down the little people. Yeah, Zoe West, it's all over the news. Wall Street Journal, The Post, the UK Mail. And she's an actress. She just finished a role as You Like It, a Shakespearean role this week. And she got her body painted in Times Square this past week. 5 of New York City's finest pounced on her, put her in handcuffs. You have to see these pictures of a 96-pound girl. As during the weekend, as you point out, 48 shootings. Yeah, there's more crimes in the naked city than a naked 21-year-old little girl whose body's painted, and you couldn't tell she was naked unless you really looked up close. So this is what they're doing, Alex. Any little minor violation, it's screw the people, and if the people don't stand up and take action, and I'm proud of Zoe for what she did. She had the guts to do it as everybody else is being mowed down when these motor mouths like Napolitano and the rest of them keep telling us what we should believe, what we should do, what we should think. And here's my favorite. As this economy's crashing, you start hearing these Wall Street wankers start yelling out, we need some policy decisions by the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank.
They're the ones that got us into this, and we're hearing that the wonderful, delicate geniuses, as you call them, the precious geniuses, they're going to have new plans. Well, they did create a plan. Trillions in Ponzi schemes. They made money on the way up. Then they hold everybody hostage saying, give us more trillions or everything will fail. And now they've screwed things up, as you and many others predicted they would, as common sense in the market shows. And now their answer is, let us set up a Bank of the World and pay us VAT taxes and carbon taxes. That'll fix it. Listen, in closing, here with you, Gerald, I really want you to break down any other trends that you see coming in the next 6 months to a year. Because you did, I remember 3 years ago on my show, 4 years ago, predicting the tax rebellion, what's become the Tea Party, and now the lawlessness. And all over Europe, people are blowing up traffic cameras, blowing up surveillance cameras, spray painting them all over the place. Farmers aren't putting up with GMO being grown. And we're starting to see that rebellion here in the U.S. People attack the speed cameras so much in Arizona, they've removed them. So the truth is, the corrupt white shoe boys are powerless when people start to stand up and recognize what they are. So you've told us the bad that's coming. What other bad do you see, but also what other good trends do you see? I mean, are we going to see the head of Goldman Sachs, who's gotten the big criminal lawyer from Enron? Are we going to see him indicted? What's coming?
You're not going to see any of the big heads roll. All the attention is going to go down to the little people, and they'll keep making examples of us. We're seeing a collapse happening. It's an economic collapse worldwide. China's not going to make it out of it. Brazil's not going to. That old saying, when America sneezes, the world catches a cold. We're the largest consumers, hands down. Us in Europe are going under. And what we're telling people is, know where your money is, because we're going to see bank failures one after another. Yeah, I'm understanding from people in Greece, they're having trouble getting their money out of the banks. And that banks from Europe are starting to safe haven money over here. This thing is running out of control, and we're telling people to take proactive measures. Number two, look for a false flag attack, be it terror, something along the line, along fear and hysteria. Things are going to get very ugly. Crime is going to escalate at levels we've never seen before. And the prostitutes are going to keep coming out with these phony figures, just like they do with inflation, just like they do with unemployment. They're going to come out with them like that in crime. You better learn how to protect yourself. And my 3 Gs, Gerald Celente's 3 Gs, gold, guns, and a getaway plan. Because
that's my final question for you, Gerald. We saw Katrina. The government couldn't help, cut the police power lines, cut their communications so FEMA could be the boss because the local police weren't following their orders. We saw FEMA then go into high and dry areas, take guns. We saw FEMA ordering everybody around with a little hurricane that hit New York, posing as saviors. They've shown up in Austin with the wildfires, telling everybody to stand down and come to them for orders. They've taken our National Guard, sent them overseas, and so instead we get a bunch of FEMA people. My issue is government can't and won't protect you. But in the Great Depression, we had 90% of people that were rural, self-sufficient. Now we're over 90% that are urban and not self-sufficient. If 7 million people died or starved to death from complications and malnutrition in the Great Depression and then the Great Dust Bowl, what are we talking about in a total collapse here? I mean, is this going to be like The Road or something? With Viggo Mortensen? I mean, is this going to be some type of hellish situation? Because if we do have a global complete collapse, my God, it's going to be epic what happens.
It's the beginning of the first great war of the 21st century. It's already happening. And what they do, for instance, you go over when it happened over in the Middle East, what did they say in Egypt? Well, it's Islamo-fascists. And the same thing in Bahrain. And then when it happens in the UK, they call it hooligans. And it's going to happen in the US, and they're going to say, oh, it's those Tea Partiers. And when it happens over in Greece, they call it the anarchists. The war is underway. It's class warfare. It's off with their heads 2.0. It's going to be a battle between the haves and the have-nots, and only a very few have everything, and way too many have much too little.
Gerald Celente, thank you. The great thing about our TV show is that it's always 30 minutes, but when we need to, we can go longer here at InfoWarsNews.com and the new weeknight transmission. And we really appreciate your tireless work. Now more than ever, alternative media is becoming the mainstream media. That's why we're hearing about internet kill switches. That's why we're hearing about shutting down people for their speech. We're seeing more and more reports that people criticizing government and being pessimist. We're causing the problems. No, we're pointing out the authors of our economic destruction. And out of this crisis, we could wake people up and have a reawakening to liberty and freedom. And it's thanks to the trendsjournal.com and trendsresearch.com that we're able to do this. Gerald, for folks that want to get your trend alerts, one went out yesterday, or they want to get the quarterly detailed Trends Research Journal, how do they find out more?
Trendsjournal.com, trendsjournal.com. And Alex, we know people are having a difficult time. We have a discount request page there. Just fill it out. We'll do our very best to get it to you, because the purpose of the Trends Journal is twofold: to inspire people so that they could take their future into their own hands and also prepare them for what comes ahead. And I thank you for what you're doing, but I have to correct you. You're not alternative media. You're the mainstream media. The other one's alternatives. The alternative for losers that want to keep staying lost. ABC, CBS, NBC, the houses of prostitution.
Well, more and more we are becoming the new media, the dominant media, and that's why the system is panicking. And you're absolutely right. I think one of the last dominoes to fall is that we don't realize we are the majority, but all the numbers, all the research, all the polls, 85% of Americans want to abolish the Fed, or at least audit it. People are really waking up, and that's why the system is trying to set up this police state. Gerald Celente, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Alex.
All right, folks, there goes Gerald Celente. Be sure and check out his websites at trendsjournal.com and trendsresearch.com. Our websites, of course, are Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv, and prisonplanet.com. We're fighting the creation of a prison planet run by modern 21st century oligarchs trying to put us on the global plantation with the info war. Hence, Infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. I want to thank Paul Watson for joining us earlier with his excellent breakdown of the fact that Al-Qaeda is now admittedly being put into power in Libya, and that the official 9/11 fable is now being put into the textbooks for our young, helpless people that have been turned over to the government training centers. I want to thank the crew and everyone that makes InfoWars Nightly News possible, and we'll see you back, unless the wildfires get to us here, and they're pretty close, Lord willing, tomorrow night, Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Central, and of course with Alex Jones Live. That's the radio/TV show from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central every single weekday as well. I'm Alex Jones, signing off from the front lines of the Info War. We'll see you back tomorrow live.